Hey guys, it's me Paco, and you're watching Bad Witch Books. Hey guys! Today we're going to be going over my Reddit bingo board TBR. Now, if you don't know, on Reddit Fantasy Art Bingo, they have a Reddit Fantasy. They have a bingo board challenge they do every year. I tried competing last year and I only got so far. I didn't do the whole board, and I was unsure if I was going to do it this year because of how I did not succeed last year. But I'd seen a lot of people, including my friend group, like Jen's doing it and Princess are doing it, and I was like, okay, I might do it, but I don't think I'm going to make a TBR for it. But then I've seen a lot of TBR videos going up about it. Like, I've seen Rainy Blue Reed's video, I saw Leandras video, so I'd seen a lot of TBRs for it, and I got FOMO. And so I was like, well, fuck it. I want to make my TBR, and I want to do it. So I decided to do it. So this is it. I'm not going to be pulling any books up. I'm just going to have the picture here, so future editing Paco is going to hate me. But I wanted to do it that way. So I'm going to be looking at my iPad, because my iPad has the bingo board here. And the bingo board's right here. And I will go over each prompt. I'm not competing in hard mode, because you can compete in hard mode where there's like extra challenges. But I will not be doing that. I will be competing in the heroic mode, so you have to like post a review. I'm going to be doing Instagram posts for my review, so if you want to check my Instagram down, which is the same name as my YouTube channel, but it's also going to be linked down below, you'll see reviews of the book I do, and I might make TikTok videos if TikTok is worth it. I don't know, we'll see. But let's get to it. So the first prompt on this board is Knights and Paladins. And so for this one, the first one that came to my mind was The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig, I believe is her last name. You'd think I would know these authors' names. Yeah, Rachel Gillig, which is her newest fantasy, the same author of the One Dark Window duology. I was already going to read this. It is about a prophet, or she is like a oracle or something like that. She could see in the future. And she's a part of this order. And the only persons that she can't see like future is this knight, and then like her sisters of these like start disappearing. Her sisters as in not like blood sisters, but like her like in this order that she's in start disappearing, and they're trying to get down to the bottom of it, and it's a romantasy, and I'm super excited for this book. So the next book prompt is Hidden Gems, and I believe this is a book with under 100 ratings. So it is under 1,000 ratings on Goodreads, and when I checked, I will be doing what is the book called? I have it here. Sorry, like I said, I gotta look at my notes. I will be doing Blood and Brujas by Michaela D. Hondo. My mind is all over the place. But this is I believe it's self-pub, a fantasy series about a bruja who she is the princess, and I think she is being forced to marry this vampire from a warring kingdom. And that's all I really know about it, but I'm very excited to get to this. I think I hauled the book in January, so check that out. The next prompt is for the book to be published in the 80s, to read a book that was published first time between 1980 and 1889, and for that I will be doing Guards by Terry Pratchett. I am mainly reading this because this was Jen's choice, and me, Jen, Princess, Helen, and some other people have a like personal friend group book club, and we chose 2 books, and Jen chose Guards, and Guards was published in the 80s. This is a part of the Discworld series, and I know this has to do with dragons as well, so this will fit that prompt. The next book we have is to read a book was high fashion. So that's the prompt. Read a book where the clothing, fashion, or fiber arts are important to the plot. This can be a crafty main character, or a setting where fashion itself is explored. And for that, I am doing The Rebel Witch, which is a sequel to The Crimson Moth. The male main interest is the son of a tailor, and in the first book, at least, it plays a part in the plot, so I'm assuming this should also play a part into the plot. So I'll be reading Rebel Witch for that prompt. The next prompt is Down with the System. And so that is to read a book in which the main plot revolves around distributing a system. And for that, I will be doing The Gods Below by Andrew Stewart. This fits because it's not only is it a fairy loot book that I'm trying to read my fairy loot books this year, this is about them trying to take down the gods, kind of. And so our main character has to do with that plot. So yeah, down with the system, down with the gods. And I might beat hard mode because they're not government, it's gods. Big brain. The next prompt, now we're on the second row, is Impossible Place. Read a book set in a location that would break a physicist. The geometry, non-molecular, the volume, bigger than the inside, the direction, merely a suggestion. And for this, I was going to do an X-Men comic with the White Hot Room, but I decided not to because I was like, well, why didn't I put this as the first? Why wasn't this my first choice? That is going to be Calabasas by Arf Kuang. Arf Kuang's new book that's not out yet, but this will follow two students as they are trying to they go into the underworld to bring their PhD professor back so that he could write their letter of recommendation. And so yeah, and it's from what I've heard of Arf Kuang from her interviews about the book, this is very whimsy inspired hell. The rules aren't going to make sense, so sounds like an impossible place to me. The next prompt is for it to be a book in parts. Read a book that is separated into a large section with the main text. This can include things like acts, parts, days, years, and so on, but has to be more than just chapter breaks. And for that, I will be doing A Feather So Black by, what is her name? Lyra Celine, I believe is her name. Yeah, Lyra Celine. This is a Swan Lake retelling where a changeling is left, a princess is captured, and a changeling is left in her place, and the princess becomes the Swan Lake character, but our main character is the changeling, and she has to try to find that princess later in life. And this isn't broken down in parts, so I'm doing that book for that. The next prompt is for Gods and Pantheons. Read a book featuring divine beings. For this, I will be doing Hemlock Queen. This is the sequel to Belladonna Prince, I believe. Or Belladonna King, something like that. I can't think of the sequel, the original title, but this is by Hannah Winton, and this series follows Lore. She is a necromancer, and necromancers are forbidden because they get their magic from the goddess, while there is a god that the light gets their magic for. And so we have two gods in this, and I know there are because I read the first book in the series. So yeah, so the next book is to read next book is last in a series. Read the final entry in a series, and for this I will be reading An Honored Vow by Melissa Blair. This is the last book in the Halfling Saga about a half-elf who is trying to take down the king because of reasons, and I'm really enjoying the series. This is a part of my series that I want to tackle in 2025. You guys, that video will be linked down below as well as any video that I reference in this thing. And so that is the first series I'm trying to knock out. I'm actually currently, as of the time of the filming of this, I am currently reading that book. So, I'm loving it. So, there's that. I might actually finish this after I film this. So the next prompt is book club or read-along book, but one of the rules of the Reddit reading challenge is that if there's a prompt you don't like, I could do with one, because I didn't go over the rules, and maybe I should have gone over the rules earlier, but we'll go over the rules now. You can only do one reread. You cannot do multiple authors unless it's an author from the 5 short story tales, so one author per challenge. And last is, if there is a prompt that you don't like, you could swap it out with a prompt from a previous board, as long as it does not repeat a prompt in this challenge. And I didn't want to do the book club challenge, I didn't want to look through it, so I decided to do a prompt from last year of a book I wanted to read, but was a book I wanted to read that I was going to read for that prompt, but I never got to. And so the prompt was Eldritch Horrors, or Eldritch Monster, I believe it was something like that from last year. And so for that, I will be reading Ring Shout by P. Deli Clark, and this has to do with these kids fighting the KKK, which might be more monsters than we think, which, I mean, they're already monsters. But I already this year read a P. Deli Clark and another P. Deli Clark, novella, and I really enjoyed it, so that's made me even more excited to get to this. Okay, so now we're on the third row, and for that is parents. So read a book with a parent protagonist, and I was gonna have a tough time because I really did not want to read. I want to read The Sword of Kai again, but I knew that's what everybody was gonna be reading, so I was like, I'm gonna be different and change it up. And so I was trying to find something, and I was watching Leandras' video. I believe it was Leandra. And they are going to be reading the last book in God Killer for this prompt, or they were planning on reading it. And I was like, well, I want to read God Killer. I've been looking for a reason to read it. If that fits for that, I'm going to read it. And then I messaged Leandra in a... she was doing sprints the other day, and I was like, hey, you've read book 1. Does book 1 fit? And she said, yeah. So I'm going to count it. And if it doesn't count, who's going to fight me? Because we can go toe to toe. Yeah. The next prompt is ellipsoary. I said that wrong, but again, the book prominent features any of the following diary or journal entries: letters, messages, newspapers, clippings, or transcripts. The first book to come to my mind that I want to read when I heard that prompt was Emily Wilde's A Map to the Other World, I believe is what the second book is called. And this is the sequel to Emily Wilde's Journal of Fairy, or something like that, is the first, Emily Wilde. And I really enjoyed the first book, and it's all her, like, journal entries. And so this is the sequel, and I want to read it, and it's the same format. So I am excited for that. So for the next prompt, we have published in 2025, so to read a book that has come out this year, and for that I will be reading Enchantra, the sequel to Phantasma. This follows the main character's sister in this one, as she gets fed up in her own, like, magic shit. And so and this is by Kylie Smith, and I enjoyed book 1, so I'm excited to get to book 2. Next is Author of Color, read a book written by a person of color. That was easy. What did I end up picking? So that was, like, kind of too easy for me. So I was like, well, I have a lot of books, because my one thing was, like, I want to read a lot of the books I own already for this. And Helen was like, well, we're planning on already buddy reading The Night Ends with Fire. So I was like, okay, well, that'll be it. So I'm going to be buddy reading The Night Ends with Fire, which I believe it's a Mulan retelling. And that's all I can tell you about what I know about this book, besides the fact that it's a beautiful cover. So the next prompt is to, small press or self-published, read a book published by a small press, not one of the big 5 publishing, or Bloomsbury. Houses or Bloomsbury, or self-published. If it's a formerly self-published that is being traditionally published, it does not count. And I will be reading The Name Bearer by Natalia Hernandez. This is a Flower Prophecy series. And I've had this book for a minute, and I wanted to read it. It is a Latinx-inspired fantasy world where a girl, she has the ability, she's an oracle, basically, where she gets the future from these flowers. They tell her, like, when people have a kid, they go to her, she names them what the flowers tell them to name them, and it has, like, some whole magic thing. And so that's all I really know about it, but I've been wanting to read the series for a minute, and so I finally got an excuse to. Not that I needed an excuse, but a reason for me to kick my ass to read it. Okay, so now we're on the 4th row. The next prompt is Biopunk, read a book that focuses mainly on biotech and or its consequences. And now 2 months ago, I would have made this the prompt that I swapped out with, but I had to read The Tainted Cup last month because I'm supposed to be reading A Drop of Corruption this month for a book club, and A Tainted Cup fit, and so which I read that in March. So the book I'm supposed to be reading this month, A Drop of Corruption, will fit, and that is a mystery world. It's a murder mystery series about this guy. He's the assistant to this, like, Sherlock Holmes-inspired investigator, and they have a lot of, like, biotech, like, because there's these giant leviathans that like surround the empire, and then they use like the remains of the leviathans to do their sciencey stuff. So all their power comes from that. And so book 1 was fun, and I plan on reading book 2, especially this month. The next prompt is Elves or Dwarves. Read a book that features the classic fantasy archetypes of elves and or dwarves, and I will be reading the sequel to Faithbound, which is Cursebound by Sarah L. Rafi. This follows 2 elven sisters. I enjoyed book 1. I have book 2 and been meaning to read it, so I'll be reading it then. The next book prompt is LGBTQIA protagonist. Read a book where the main character is under the LGBTQIA+ umbrella, and for that I will be reading The Witch and the Crow by Ben Alderson. This is about a witch who, after his parents are dead, he wants to compete in this challenge. I believe it is to rule the coven, and that's all I really know. I enjoy Ben Alderson's Darkmount series, so I'm very excited for this. It's witchy, it's gay. Give it to me. The next prompt is to read 5 SFF short stories. Any short SFF story, as long as there are 5 of them. And for this prompt, I will be reading Relit, 16 Latinx remix of classic stories. I am going to be actually interviewing, and this is the announcement for it, I'll be interviewing Sandra Proudman. She's the editor of this book, and so I want to read this book before that interview, and I'm very excited for that. So keep an eye out for that. Like, another announcement will be made soon when I have a date for that. Next, the last of this row, the 4th row, is Stranger in a Strange Lands, and that is to read a book that deals with being a foreigner in a new culture. The character, if there are a group, must be either visiting or moving in as a minority. And for that, I'm going to read Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Leong, and this is about I believe she's an immigrant or a refugee. She's in this she's like reading fortunes, and she gets involved in something. It's supposed to be like a cozy fantasy book. I am reading this also as it is a Fairy Loot book on my Fairy Loot challenge, and it is a part of was Helen's pick for one of her 2 picks for our little book club. So I will be reading that. So the next prompt row is a past challenge prompt. Recycle a bingo square. Use a square from a previous year. I'm using one from last year as well, entitled Animals, so it's to read something with an animal in the title. And so for that, I will be reading The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Fueco. This is a book I have been meaning to read forever. This follows a girl who, I believe she's trying to escape something, but she gets, she has to serve this crocodile god as, his housekeeper, basically, at one point. It's very, Beauty and the Beast and Howl's Moving Castle inspired, and it takes place in the same world as Raybearer. So I love Raybearer. I love Jordan Fueco. I'm excited to read this. I'm mad I haven't read it yet. Next is for a cozy SFF. A cozy is in your preference of what you find comforting, but the genre typically remains fantasy, relatable characters, low stakes, mental conflict, and a happy ending. And for that, I will be reading Spell Shop. I was supposed to have read this earlier this year, but I never got to it, by Sarah Beth Durst. This follows a magical librarian who, after the library is under attack, she flees and she goes to a small town and starts living there. That's all I really know about it. I wanted to read this book earlier this year. I believe it was on my TBR, and I just never got to it, and so I'm going to try to get to this again. The next prompt is for... Come on. Sorry. iPad is being itself. Generic title. Read a book that has one or more of the following words in the title: blood, bone, broken court, dark shadow, song, sword or throne, etc., plural. So I will be reading Throne of Secrets. It has throne. This is by Carrie Malcosalco. This is a part of her Prince of Sins, which follows one of the princes of the underworld, one of the princes of hell. This one follows Gluttony, and it has throne in it. And so I've already read this one, so this is one, because the timeline for this challenge is April 1st, 2024 to March 31st, 2026. And I read this book this month in April. if you go to my Instagram, you'll see my post for that is up. I don't know if I'll do a TikTok video. Like I said, I might actually film a TikTok video, the review for that after this. The next challenge is not a book. Do something new besides reading a book. Watch a TV show, play a game, learn how to summon a demon. Okay, moving on to that last one. Spend time with fantasy, science fiction, or horror in another format. Movie, video games, TBR, board games, etc. All count. There is no rule of how many episodes of a show will count or whether or not you have to finish the game. New is the key word here. We do not want you to play a new save on a game you've already played or watch a new episode of a show you enjoy. You can do a whole new TRG or a new campaign in the system you have played before. Good to know. Okay, it's a good thing I read the rules because I hadn't. I was originally going to, we're going to Y'all West in May, and we played D&D, and I was going to do that for this prompt, but I was like, well, I've already played D&D, that's not new, but reading the rules here for this video, I can, because it's a new campaign. It's just like a new one-shot, I think. So, new character and everything. So that gets to count. Booyah. Okay. And then the last prompt is pirates. Read a book where the characters engage in piracy. And I was looking on my shelf for it, but I just don't have a lot of pirate books that I haven't read. The only pirate books I have, I've read already. And so I will be reading Daughter of the Pirate King by Tristan Love the Stellar. I enjoy, I don't really know what it's about besides the title. I enjoyed her, where the darkness in between us and the shadows outside us, something like that is that series. I enjoyed that, but I haven't read anything else by Tristan Love and Stellar, so I will be reading that for that prompt. And yeah, so that was the last of these prompts. If you guys are competing, what are you guys going to be reading for it? If you have a TBR video, let me know. Like I said, I've been enjoying watching them, which is why I made this one. I've been talking a lot, so I'm tired. Yeah, I will see you guys next time. I post new videos every Friday, and yeah, I will see you guys. Bye.